Happy Thursday, everybody. And in our group chat at Inside Bowling, it's Selfie Thursday.
Headshot Thursday, Mike.
Yeah, there you go. Headshot Thursday. Happy birthday to Carlos Musso from our team. And Adam Ishman also with a birthday today. I don't want to get in the habit of birthdays because there's so many of them all the time. But those two guys I just happened to catch today. So happy birthday to those two guys in the industry. Matt, how you doing today? Looks like you got the jersey hanging up again.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it there. I think it takes up that empty space, kind of spices things up a little bit, and decided to match my Inside Bowling T-shirt today to that jersey. So we're rolling, we're rocking, man.
Yeah, the other thing is Michael's. They sent me an email this morning. Michael's, the craft store. They have a sale right now, and they can ship directly to your house. They have a sale on frames right now. You might want to put that thing behind some glass so that the white doesn't fade into yellow or something like that.
I'm with you. Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I've always wanted to do that. Put my jerseys and some medals in a frame and stuff. And I've been saying that for probably about 6-7 years now, and I still haven't done it. So I think it's time to take some action and to actually make it look nice.
You're going to need a bigger wall, though, with all the medals and all the jerseys that you've worn over the years throughout your illustrious career.
Yeah, I've got 9 medals for the Team USA program. I've got probably about, 5 or 6 jerseys I still hold on to. I've got some jerseys from other countries, which is probably the coolest part of it all, honestly. But it's none of those accolades really compared to those of Mike Flanagan and his 300 game banner that is hanging up on his Funko rack back there.
That was a winner too. That was a winner. That banner is because I won a tournament.
I thought it was because you just bowled 300.
No, there were about 120 kids in the Masters division of that event. I was throwing a 3D offset hammer, and I bowled this guy J.R. Golden. He was like the guy. He was like a couple hundred pins ahead of third, and I was the high qualifier the day before, and they drop all the pins, and then I had to bowl match play against all the the top 10 round robin match play. You're familiar with that format a little bit, Matt?
Yeah, just a little bit.
And I bowled this guy J.R. Raymond because he was the number 2 qualifier in the first game of the day, and I bowled 290. Then I bowled him in position round and bowled 267, a St. Louis 267. That's where you miss a single pin in the middle of the game and the rest are all strikes. And then in the championship final, I bowled 279 at him. So he bowled me 3 times that day. I bowled 290, 267, and 279.
So you're averaging like 279 against the guy.
Yeah, I destroyed that guy that day. It's the only time I ever won, though. They had these Midwest Junior Classics in St. Louis, and I bowled 300 and 800 and finished second 3 times. Never got a banner, but my banner would have 800 and 300 on it. So, but you know what? Not bowling sucks, and that's my shirt today that I'm wearing. Nate hooked me up with some of our Inside Bowling shirts. Figured it'd probably be a better idea to go out and wear these shirts on the show. You can save 15% with coupon code IBShow, 15% with coupon code IBShow. Today we're going to have Mike Fagan and Robby Spigner on the show. And there's a certain responsibility to this show that we have to do because these guys are proprietors now. They work with multiple bowling centers in a market. And there's a lot of messages I've been getting from people that were saying, hey, we're really interested to hear what these guys have to say. So there is a certain sense of responsibility with today's show. We will get a little bit serious in regards to these things and the economy of bowling. Fagan in college was known as Faganomics. That's what they called the guy because of his background and his finance degrees and everything he's gone on to. But anyway, they called him Faganomics in college. And yesterday when we were prepping for the show, Spigner, man, Fagan didn't have as much to say as Spigner. So I'm looking forward to seeing if we have some Spignernomics today as well. So it'll be fun. But let's get to the BowlerX poll question from yesterday. We'll update everybody with that. The Bowler X Inside Bowling poll question yesterday. It was, when will Brad Miller and Kyle Sherman get to 100,000 subscribers over on YouTube? And our options were September 2020, December 2020, February 2021, or after April of 2021. So winning is December of 2020. So when the PBA tour resumes, people are thinking they're going to get to 100,000 subs before the end of the year. And wouldn't that be a great accomplishment for those guys at 36.4%? Coming in second, February of 2021 at 30.3%. And then September, there's some optimists there thinking they're going to get there in September or April or later, came in at 12%. And Matt, what do you have for me for today's Bowler X poll question? We just want to get right to it.
Well, today's Bowler X poll question, Mike, is in regards to bowling, which describes you best? Bring it on, I'm ready. Cautious, but I'm going to wait a little, or very hesitant to return.
Okay.
So which describes you best regarding going back to bowling?
Yeah, let's get that up. And I'm not gonna lead the witness today. I'm not even gonna predict anything because I really don't know what the public thinks. And I'm looking forward to reporting on this poll question tomorrow. On tomorrow's program, we'll have Mike Shady on, and little programming announcement. We will be on an hour earlier tomorrow. As I will be again over on the Sport of Bowling USBC show on Fridays, and it's a great privilege to be able to go over and do that show with them. We'll be speaking with some leaders from Las Vegas and Reno, going over the economical impact in those markets, as well as how it's affected bowling and how important bowling is and what's going to happen when bowling does get back in those markets. So looking forward to spending time with Chad Murphy and Jean-Marc Manzione from Bowlers Journal International. So, Matt, we got a big one here today, and just a little background on these guys. Most people know Michael Fagan very well from him bowling on tour. I kind of think Verity Crawley is the female version of Mike Fagan, just somebody you just love to watch bowl, awesome style, just somebody that you can really rally around. That's just a cool hipster like guy that goes out there and bowls, has a lot of fans, his social media had a lot of following, and had a great career, and then just up and stopped like many other people in the past, like a Mark McDowell, even Mike Shady, who's going to be on tomorrow, and guys that said, I need to make a career and I don't know the future in my life. And Mike went on to get that master's degree or doctorate, I believe it was. He'll tell us. I'm screwing the whole thing up. I don't know. Figure it out. But and then he got a job in Vegas, and then he got hooked up in Minnesota with his friend Robby Spigner. And to set up Robby a little bit here, he comes from a pedigree bowling family. We talked to Kyle Sherman yesterday about his parents being big into bowling. And, obviously Bill and Barb Spigner, my goodness gracious, smart people, proprietors. Bill, an unbelievable bowler, Hall of Fame career, USBC. But the thing I want to say about the Spigner family before we bring both guests on is when we started Inside Bowling back in the day and I just started streaming bowling tournaments and doing my thing, they were so nice to me. The whole family had reached out to me. Robbie, we're around the same age, but, we competed a little bit against each other, but always treated me with the utmost respect. Even all the guys in St. Louis. He had a thing for us guys in St. Louis that all bowled. And he just sees the passion for bowling. And these two guys being so smart with these degrees, I find it very interesting that they can't get away from bowling. I know they got other things going on in their lives too, but they cannot get away from bowling. And I find that extremely cool. And I'm looking forward to getting into this with them. So, Matt, let's go ahead. Let's bring up our guests today, Robby Spigner and Mike Fagan, who are both checking in from Minnesota. Guys, welcome to the program today. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Happy to be here. I've got a quick question, Mike. 290, 279, 267. The St. Louis 67. I love that. I assume it was a 9-out back 11, and then like a PBA wash spare back 11 for the other two games, right?
Oh, the
like you missed in PBA wash, right? The St. Louis style.
No, the St. Louis deal is, everybody strikes so much and the lanes are so easy that you just don't worry about throwing in single pins. So
That's right.
I missed a 10 pin in like the 6th frame or something on the 267.
I figured the 279 was a 9-out also.
No,
and
no, I competed, I went and bowled like youth masters, teen masters, whatever the heck it was called at the time, and junior gold and stuff like that. So I was at least a guy that got out of the area, and that's kind of how I got to know you guys back then.
Gotcha.
The AOL message boards as well.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you're very active on those.
We're talking way before my time, fellas. So I'm just gonna dip out for a little bit and talk about your AOL time and just welcome you back in whenever we come back to the present day.
I believe it was Rip D Rack was.
Ooh, bringing it way back.
Wow.
Starting
on AOL Instant Messenger.
I mean, I've been playing a lot of Song Quiz 90s, on Alexa. So, I mean, it's bringing me back to the Rip to Rack days.
Yeah.
Boy, there's a whole thing about bowlers aim stuff. Like Andrew Kane was real da bowler 300, I believe. This DA bowler. I think missing the E. Awesome. I was Rev Child, if that's any help for anybody.
I got kicked off so many times I had to keep coming back as other names.
Why does that not surprise me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
That is.
Well, now you own the website, so you don't need to worry about getting kicked off.
I said when AOL.com becomes available, I'm buying it and I'm making a Hall of Fame. I sent Bo Burton a message trying to book him as a guest, not to name drop here, but to name drop, and he's still at AOL.com. Oh yeah. So anyway, nice. I guess we can somewhat maybe get on with the program here as we reminisce and go down memory lane a little bit here. But I guess we'll start with Mike. Mike, obviously a lot of people followed your career, and there's been a period of time now, 4 years or so, or I'm losing track of time, that you pretty much quit the tour and decided to go in another direction in your life. Could you just get some people up to speed on kind of what happened after that, what you did, the work you put in, the job you got, and where you're at now?
Yeah, I had an incredible opportunity in front of me. I was able to go back to get my MBA. So I was accepted into the University of California, Berkeley MBA program. And I just, figured it was an opportunity that I could not pass up. I had bowled on the tour for 13 years. I think it was time for me to step away and try to pursue other things. So I spent 2 years getting my MBA. I ended up taking a job in Vegas, much because I really liked Las Vegas from my time there. And I also thought that on the back of my mind, I could also continue to bowl a little bit. And when people came to town for different events, I would see my friends more often. So I ended up choosing Las Vegas. I was working for MGM Resorts. Kind of a blessing in disguise, I think, that I ended up getting a call from Robby to come work for Triple Shift Entertainment because MGM is obviously not doing so well right now. But, long story short is I'm back in the bowling world. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm working hard to grow Triple Shift Entertainment and make sure that it's, an industry leader.
Awesome. And Robby, how did you recruit Michael here to be part of Triple Shift Entertainment?
Yeah, it's a funny thing. He's the first person I told about the deal, other than my wife and my financial partners. So from the very beginning of looking at this opportunity, he was the first person that came to mind of who I wanted to partner with. I've known Mike since college. I've known of Mike since '97 Junior Gold, Reno, first year. That was the first time I saw him bowl. Phenomenal. Then no,
he missed the
when
cut.
he won Teen Masters. he missed the cut that year, actually. And we won't go into that. Bitter memories.
I made the cut.
Yeah, there you go. And then they dropped all the pinfall. Great decision.
And by the way, Mike, I think won the second chance tournament that year, though, didn't you, Mike?
I don't think so. No, I was not a fan of the stadium at that point. Okay. I had to grow to love the stadium.
Maybe a finalist.
But that wasn't it Hilton, the second chance?
Yeah,
it was the Hilton.
You guys have a better memory than I do.
Yeah, when you win that much, they just kind of all blend together.
I think you won
Masters, second chance jog. I just can't keep them track.
Yeah.
So I had an opportunity to get to know Mike through college, kind of bowling against each other. I think we bowled some action together. I'd fly out to New York from time to time, bowl weekends, just action bowl all night, and then fly back to school. And as kind of life goes on, you find people that you have more in common with than a ball and 10 pins. And Mike and I have always seen eye to eye and had similar interests outside of the sport. And when he was looking to go back to, we started serving on the USBC board together. So I got to see Mike in action on the business side more. I was clearly watching what he was doing out on tour as far as building the Fagan brand. Got to serve together on the board, and then got to see him in action there. Then when he decided to go back to school or start thinking about it, he reached out just to talk about it, because my career in bowling was short and pathetic compared to his, but my career in business had gone in a different route and something that he was interested in. So we started talking about that, and then as he fortunately he ended up in California. I live in San Francisco, and we got to see each other through his time at Berkeley. We actually won the California State Doubles, which is the only award hanging in his house, just so everyone knows. It's actually right next to Theodore's nightstand. While he was at school getting his MBA, then went to MGM, and we just got to be better and better friends, and more appreciation for his mind for business and how it reconciled with my mind, and the different skill sets we bring to the table, especially in a situation like we are in right now. My skill set is very relevant given my career in restructuring and bankruptcy and distressed situations. But his brand in bowling, his passion for bowling, his creativity in what we can do, and his always not afraid to push the boundaries, which is what we need in the sport and in our company.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a nice little resume there for Mr. Fagan. Nice accolades there. So, Robby, tell everybody then, people know a little bit of you as a bowler, those that can remember. I remember a big run at Hawthorne Lanes where your parents owned the bowling center, a PBA event. Could we relive that moment? Because I don't have all the recollections of that, but you made match play, and you had a big match, and you had the whole hometown crowd behind you, that moment.
Yeah. Boy, we brought up Jog 97 and Hawthorne, my run. These are all the tournaments where I made a lot of friends. So it was pretty awesome. I was in college at IU, Indiana University, and obviously Mike, you and I were getting to know each other more then because we're competing in college ranks. I had the benefit of the hometown audience. It was an awesome experience. I ended up losing to Danny Wiseman, who ended up winning the tournament. So effectively, I finished second. I had a chance to make the show through. I think I needed the first or second one in the 10th. I don't know, and I did not throw it well. Didn't see the head pin. Wasn't a great performance there. But I bowled Claude Godin from Canada. I beat him in best of 5, I think, were those rounds. And then I bowled Brian Goebel, who I've always respected, amazing player, but awesome human being, clean cut, took care of himself, was a great representative of the sport and still is. And I got to see Brian when he bowled our senior tour stop at River City Extreme in Monticello, Minnesota this past year. It's always great to see Brian. It was a rush. It was awesome. And I can only imagine how Mike felt being on TV and actually competing in that. I would say that may have been the peak of my bowling career, though I won the beat the champs in Chicago a couple of years.
Can I ask a question?
No,
no,
you're not the host.
I just want to know: was it strange for you bowling against your idol and Brian Goebel and your ball roll idol? Because you guys both...
That's right. That's right. Probably the only guy that had a smaller track than I did at that time. I used to joke I'd take a ball out of the box and to see how it rolled, I'd just spin it on the ground. Like, that looks like it'll be good for me.
A little tilt never hurt nobody.
Oh my gosh, my tilt. How that all happened was college and bowling at the Union at IU, who hadn't seen oil since 1984.
Gotta get that.
And I had to get the ball down the lane. My ball roll was so much better before I went to college. My dad will attest to that. Really disappointing. I used a fuse. I used a red fuse and what was that? Monster.
The original.
Yeah, the original. Yeah.
I know they remade all these 90s balls.
What was that? Pearl? Not Monster.
Stream
It was a Stream. Yeah, there we go. That ball.
Yeah,
Sick.
the teal one. Yeah.
Those balls were awesome. So that's what I used for that whole tournament. And then I went back to IU, and back to my partying ways. So my peak of bowling was pretty early in my life. It was all downhill from there, pretty much so.
Yeah, and growing up, your parents owned a bowling center. You grew up in that environment. Your dad,
Yep.
Hall of Fame bowler, awesome coach, very smart guy too. And your mom, who doesn't get much credit, and she's in the chat right now, but she held everything together. And your brothers. Did you ever think that you would be owning bowling centers? Was that a goal of yours, considering mom and dad did?
Yeah, it's a little bit of family background. The bowling history of our family goes back another generation. My grandfather on my mom's side was at Brunswick and was second to the CEO, and ran the bowling division. So the GSX machine now was the GS10 when it originally was brought over. My grandfather ran the bowling division and was the one that brought that over from Germany. It was a German-made machine. So our background in bowling goes back another generation to my grandfather. And when I was growing up in high school, I was bowling our scratch league, Tuesday night men's scratch league at the bowling center, and I was doing my homework during scratch league because it was like a third shift league. And people would ask me, "Oh, you want to be a pro bowler?" I said, "No, I want to be the CEO of Brunswick. That's what I want to be." I was always interested in wanting to be on that side. That's why I went to Indiana University for two reasons. I didn't have to fundraise to bowl. It was a funded bowling program, and I didn't feel like I should be fundraising for something that I made money doing. And then it's a great business program, top in the world. So after college, I bowled a little bit, then worked at our family center during that time, and then I started my career in consulting. When my family decided to sell the bowling center, I knew that I wanted back in. I wanted to get experience outside of the industry and then bring it back to the industry. So from the moment that we sold, it was a matter of time before I got back in. I looked at a lot of opportunities over the course, but I needed something large enough for me to get back into. 1-2 centers isn't large enough for me to implement my vision. I needed a strong base of centers to operate off of. So I always expected to be back in the industry. It was just a matter of time. And when the opportunity in Minnesota came up, jumped on it pretty quickly. So I did expect to be back in the industry. I love it. It's part of the fiber of who I am. I think it's important for communities, and that's the type of businesses I like to be part of.
Awesome. So Mike, give a lay of the land. What Minnesota? What is it that you guys currently have going on there? Like how many centers? What do they look like? And that stuff.
Yep. So 10 locations in total, 9 of which you're going to find within an hour of the Twin Cities. And the final location is down in Rochester, Minnesota, close to the Mayo Clinic. 2 of the locations are what you would consider your big box family entertainment centers. So main lanes, private lanes, large bar and restaurant, arcade, laser tag. We've got virtual reality at one of our locations. Our marquee location is Pins in Oakdale, which has all of those things plus the virtual reality. And then eight of the locations are what you would consider your traditional league houses. And they are truly the backbone of our business. Sunray Lanes is probably the gem in all of those. I mean, we've got 24 lanes and over 2,500 league bowlers. There's literally 3 or 4 shifts of league every single day of the week during the season. It's an incredible building. And our general manager, Robbie Lawrence, is a superstar. So we've got a great chain and we've got a great team, and we're just excited to kind of get things back going and see where how big we can take it, because we were certainly ramping up when this all unfortunately came to fruition. The situation we're in right now.
What's the biggest thing that going into the job that surprised you, Mike? You've been around bowling forever, but you never really ran bowling centers from my understanding. Like, what was the biggest surprise? And you were like, wow, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, exactly. It was a complete 180 from what I would imagine a bowling career would be, a bowling management career. Let's just say I give the people who run bowling centers now a heck of a lot of credit. It's a lot harder than it looks, especially when you're just worried about, I need a sweep or I need a 180 or whatever the situation may be. As a competitor, there's so many other facets to it. And the fact of the matter is, my first year in this business, we barely even worked in bowling at all. I mean, I was focused on arcade, food and beverage, other facility issues. I mean, we've got so much going on under one roof in all of our facilities that although we are bowling based, the bowling business is really strong and solid. And, we're looking at ways to optimize all of the different business and revenue flows that come in under one roof. It's amazing that I came into the bowling world and didn't really have, wasn't really working with bowling too much because there's so many other things going on under one roof. And it's just a testament of the well-roundedness that you need to be in order to operate these facilities.
Rob, let me ask you this. When did you guys purchase these centers? I can't remember. And how was business going leading up to the pandemic that we're facing right now?
Yeah, so we're 18 months into the investment, and things were really clicking along nicely. The February was the largest February the company had ever had. We had done a lot to optimize certain areas of the business and focus everyone on areas that drive results. March was starting out to be stellar as well, the largest March the company was ever going to have. So we were on a good path. Our league volumes were solid. We prioritized taking care of our league bowlers. That is our community. Those are our, we always have to protect them. I mean, going through this whole thing, the most important thing for us is our league bowlers are safe. Our team members are safe, and which will inform everything that we do going forward. But business was on a good clip. Lots of opportunity for us to continue to introduce bowling to other crowds that have not been endemic to the sport, not coming in as often as we would love them to. But what we do know is that if we get them in the doors, they love the bowl. We just got to get them in the doors, and then we could get them to come back. Mike's done an incredible job, really picking up the business. I did say to him, you come in, you got to just learn, open your eyes and ears and learn for the first year, because it takes a long time to really understand all the aspects of it, and how if you pull one lever, like 4 other levers need to be adjusted at the same time. So, but we're clipping along really well. We've built a superstar team. We've got a really strong base of centers, and in a market that loves bowling, that we identify with. They're good hometown Midwestern people, just like me. We transplanted a guy from Long Island out there, which caused a little consternation. I'll tell you one story. When we were working through the investment, Mike had come out with me to check out all the centers, and we walked through, I think 7 of them or something on that trip. And we went to Super Bowl, and it was I think a Wednesday night, and we're sitting there just watching, and Mike gets back and gets a message on his fan page. It says, "Hey, were you at Super Bowl in Minnesota last week? If so, what were you doing in Minneapolis? And also, could you sub for us next week?" Brilliant.
Did you sub?
No, I had to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To Vegas.
Sorry.
Classic.
That's a sign. That's a sign right there that this is right for me. The people want me.
Yeah, that's right. That was the ultimate validation. We went in another center at that time, and we walked in, and went in the front door, and like 2 pairs turned around and looked and just stared at him as we walked down and went into the bar to check it out. And then on our way out, those 2 pairs just stared at him as the way out. They clearly knew who he was, but we're like, what's he doing in Minnesota? That was pretty funny.
Mike, as you're active in the bowling centers, do you still are the people there? Are they still kind of starstruck that you're involved in the centers, or have they started to accept you in as just Mike?
Yeah, I think definitely the latter. I mean, I'm at the center so much, especially we just opened a pro shop at Sunray Lanes, the Bowlers Lounge. I'm there quite often, so I talk to the guys. We hang out. I took part in Storm Demo Day a few months ago. So I mean, I want to get out there. I want to meet everybody. I want to say hi and talk to them. Hopefully, share bowling stories, and if there's something that they want to learn about bowling, maybe I can help them out, give them a tip or two. But I don't think that, hopefully there's a mutual respect there that, we all love bowling, and, we, I don't mind being, the person that when I walk in the door, there's people that know who I am. And I hopefully that adds some credibility to what we're trying to do in the business.
Yeah, I really like what you guys said about, league bowlers are your focus, but yet you have all these other revenue opportunities inside the center. Like I'm sure, Mike, you cleaned up cost of goods and hourly rates and maximizing revenue during peak times and how you drive people in the door during off-peak times and lane turnover and hourly versus per game and all that kind of stuff, birthday party packages and how they're built. And I'm sure that was exactly what you were digging into and have done a fine job with. And Rob, you talked about how you guys were cruising along. You guys were doing really well, best February ever. And then boom, coronavirus hits. And we all know what we've had to deal with. And I think a lot of people that are listening to this program today really want to get your feedback, both of you, in regards to how it's impacted your business, how you feel about what's going on, how you're going to come out of this, the steps that you've taken, and if there's going to be opportunity for bowling to grow or acquire more centers, or what's just going to happen. So there's a lot there, right, that we really need to get to. So Rob, I'll let you get started. You can pick any of those topics that you like. What would you like to get out in your message about what we're dealing with right now?
Yeah, so you've got a lot to contend with here. To be successful in reopening, you need, one, the ability to reopen. So the government has to allow you to reopen. Two, you need to have the team to reopen, which is a challenge in today's environment because of some of the stimulus packages. Three, you need people walking through the door. And four, they need to be able to spend money when they come in. So all of those things have to fall into place for us to successfully reopen as a business. Right now, we can't reopen. That's obviously what it is. Hiring teammates back, that's going to be a challenge all the way through the summer that every proprietor is going to face. We've retained a strong GM team that we could do a lot with. And we're excited about what we're working on to come back online. My concerns are people going to walk through the door? And when they walk through the door, they can have a willingness to spend money. The willing to walk through the door, I think, comes down to a health security issue as well as time of year issue. When you look at June through August, it is obviously our lowest time of year. So if you were to pick a time for this to happen, now would be that time. So we expect and don't see volumes during the summer very much anyway. Minnesota is very much cabin culture. They have lots of cabins throughout the state that people own and they go to, and that's where they enjoy their summers. Lots of fishing, hunting, all sorts of stuff. So our volumes are low in the summer anyways. So stepping back to focus on the consumer and the guest, health security is going to be their first concern, which I think we will get out of once there's large-scale antibody testing, any sort of progress on a vaccine. In Minnesota, we are still on the rise as far as new cases and deaths. We haven't peaked yet. Most of the problems that are focused on long-term care facilities. So our most susceptible population is the one that's most impacted, which are not necessarily our everyday guests. My concerns are, once we get over the health security issue, is everyone having financial security. When you look at unemployment rates that are in the mid 30s to 40 million, that is staggering. We have been through the financial security time before where that was at risk, and that's 2008. That's sort of the nearest time that we have good data on. Bowling did incredibly well during that time. Right now, you're going to see people not traveling as much, so they're going to stay close to home. The question is, when they stay close to home, do they stay in their home, or do they go out and enjoy things? I think for the near term, you're hard pressed to see people racing out of their homes to go inside. And that is one of the challenges of our business is it's indoors and it's summer and they've been cooped up for months. So I think the next couple of months, we're going to take it very cautious. We're going to do whatever is necessary to protect our team and our guests and whatever is best for bowling. I do think there's challenges when you talk about social distancing restrictions in our business. Our business is built around socialization. It is all about that, 100%. People don't go bowling alone. They don't go bowling so that they can bowl on Facebook or on these other platforms so you can bowl with somebody in Arizona or around the country. You go with a friend. I don't have friends, so I go bowling alone. But I'm in the minority these days. So you're hard pressed to see how do you succeed in an environment that is built 100% around socialization when you have to social distance. So you're going to have to see a great relaxing of restrictions. Hopefully this all comes in time for September when leagues are kicking off going into next year. We're going to do whatever we can. We're going to make sure our leagues are comfortable and safe and ready to compete and enjoy the sport. But I don't think June, July are the months that we're going to look for a lot of activity. We'll be very cautious going through that.
Mike, what would you like to add there?
Well, I think Robbie summed it up. I mean, this is exactly what we want to do. We want to make sure that everyone is very safe in our facilities. We want to make sure that people are able to enjoy their facilities. I mean, when you go bowling, normally you want to forget about the rest of the world. You want to focus on either your craft if you're a bowler. You want to focus on having a good time if you're there to socialize. You don't want to have to worry about what's going on in the rest of the world and all the other troubles, whether it's a virus or a war or whatever is going on in the world. So, eventually we want to get to the place where people feel safe in our facilities and they feel like I can leave all my troubles at the door. It's going to take some time and there's going to be some adjustments, but we're hoping that we can get to that place again where people just come into our facilities and enjoy themselves.
Yeah, we're looking at 2 months here, I believe, is about the time frame of what it's been, 60 days or so. Mike, what have you been doing at the center level after you guys had to figure out what you were going to do with the employees and everything else? What are you guys doing there for the last 60 days? And has there been some opportunities there to do some things that maybe you wouldn't have gotten to if it was normal operating business every day, reactionary, you're busy, too many distractions? What are you doing?
Personally, I've been lucky enough where I can work from home. So I've been able to take on almost all of my responsibilities from here, and I haven't had to go into the facilities too much. We do have all of our general managers still on staff, so they are doing a lot of ad hoc projects around the centers, which include, some deep cleaning, other things that, are, like you said, very difficult to do when we're open 7 days a week, almost 365 days a year. Personally, I'm looking at setting up programs and technologies and implementing different tools into the business so that we feel like we are going to set a great foundation for our business and be more efficient, be more competitive, and hopefully make our jobs easier. When we came into this business, the jobs were not easy. Everybody's job was really, really difficult, and it still is. A lot of manual inputs, a lot of manual data entry, things like that. So we're just trying to use some of our skill sets when it comes to technology and building out platforms and documents so that everybody's job is a little bit more streamlined when we come back.
Yeah, and speaking of all of these different things that you guys are looking at, ways to try to innovate your business to make sure that when it's time to go back to bowling and everything kind of returns back to normal, you guys are all set and ready to go. And I know Robbie's wheels are always turning in his mind. I know it's the same thing with you, Mike. Do you think that there's a potential for an uptick in the pro shop business coming back to bowling as people are not going to be, or, do you think people may be hesitant to be using, general products that are out there for everybody to use? And do you guys see maybe a focus in your bowling centers looking more at establishing, a more foundationalized pro shop business as part of your centers?
100%. 100%. I mean, sterilizing a house ball every time it's used is a very tall task, and it's probably something that we can talk about, but actually getting it implemented every single time that ball is touched is another story. So the safest way we would hope is for that person who normally would rent a ball or take a ball off the house rack would be go purchase a ball. And we're looking at different programs to how we can get people their own equipment, their own shoes, their own bag ball, and everything at a very inexpensive rate to try to introduce them to the sport and get them hooked, if you will. That's kind of a pun on word right there.
Well, not if you're Mike. If you're Mike, you're going pretty straight, so there's no hooking going on there.
But yeah, you know what? We got to get more balls in people's hands and get them into the sport. And people are just, you're never going to have the passion for the sport unless you've got your own equipment.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of extending off of your professional experience here, how do you think that this is going to affect the professional tour moving forward? Do you think that bowling has an interesting opportunity in the fact that it's not a sport that has to deal with 20,000 fans being in the stands? So it may be interesting and a little bit easier for bowling to resume back on in terms of the professional level.
I hope so. It was very strange watching the PBA World Championship a couple of months ago when there was nobody there. So it's a different mindset, and the crowd is an integral part of that back and forth between the players. So it's an interesting dynamic that I hope it's not the new normal, and I hope that people we can still produce content to watch. Obviously, right now I think everybody is very sports deprived in the world. So I mean, if we can get out there and hopefully get some live bowling going, whether it's made for TV and there's not really a big crowd there to prevent any kind of spread, or we take precautions to get people in the door, but potentially have some type of temperature check and things like that, where we feel like it's a safe environment for the players. All of that, I think, is going to end up hopefully benefiting and getting the sport back to where we want it to be and where it has been.
Yeah,
I actually think bowling is one of the best positioned throughout this as a sport. We were on the bleeding edge actually of online distribution of content. You could look at what the PBA did many years ago when they started introducing live stream before other sports did, as far as online. In our community has been used to consuming small scale production live sporting events. Our business, the sport, is actually well suited for small scale live production. You can't do a small scale live production of a baseball game or a football game or any of those things. Like, name another sport you could do in a effectively 100 feet by 20 feet piece of property and have the best people in the world compete on it. Racquetball?
Cornhole, maybe a little cornhole action.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched that on ESPN.
Pretty entertaining. Maybe you guys should implement that in your centers. You guys should open up a cornhole arena.
After watching that, I know I'm an athlete.
We actually have multiple cornhole leagues at our centers.
We've
had,
yep.
Yeah.
Why am I not surprised? I mean,
we probably have 150 cornhole league members.
Do you guys have it? Do you guys take a lane, like a lane panel, and that's like you make them compete on this like little sheet of a lane and make it more like put a bowling tie to it?
We at River City Extreme, we have a cornhole league. At Andover Lanes, we have a cornhole league. Andover is the second largest bingo hall in the state, our Andover Lanes, as well as we had an indoor disc golf league there. They called Putt League during the winter. Yeah, legendary. So I think when you're going back to the competitive bowling element of it, I mean, I watch NEBAs, right, in the Northeast. I love watching them. That's great. we're used to it as a community, as an industry, is well accepted. So we should be able to get back to consumption of live sporting faster than anybody else. It's just such a small square footage and small footprint that you could get it into that other sports can't. We don't have the revenues and the following necessarily some of those other sports, but it's very challenging for them to get back to business. I have a friend that owns 3 minor league ball clubs, and it's like there is no future for that for this year. I mean, his business is effectively gone. Talk to him throughout this. It's very challenging. We could get back to it pretty quickly, pretty well.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's interesting here is for people in our industry like you guys that are very forward thinking and are always looking for another opportunity. And while of course this whole coronavirus situation is terrible and people are losing their lives and it really is just awful. It's taking our position in as an industry and realizing and trying to find ways that we can leverage that and say exactly what you just said, Robby, was okay, like this isn't that far off from where we've been for a long time, and other sports are going to struggle to do that. So how can we leverage this as an opportunity? And I guess another question I want to ask is that moving, I think maybe a decade ago, it was way less common to have other forms of entertainment within a bowling alley as common as it is today, right? So it was mainly just bowling back then. And over the years, you've seen it evolve to go from just a bowling alley to a bowling alley and a restaurant, and then laser tag and an arcade and a cornhole league. So where do you guys see the future going now after this huge crucial event of this coronavirus? Where do you see the future going for bowling centers in the U.S. and I guess around the world?
I'll give it a crack. I don't think it changes really a whole lot. I think our business is to give people an opportunity to be away from their everyday life. When you walk in our doors, the rest of the world should not exist. And whatever you need to do for people to be able to enjoy their time there and forget about the rest of the world is what we need to keep doing. So the business has always come down to guest service, taking care of your team members, taking care of your guests. That's no different. I think we are starting to see a bit people walking away from their in-home entertainment as much. Or there's becoming two audiences. There's the people that game at home all the time, and then there's the people that go out of their home to do activities and have in-person enjoyment. So for us, it's no different. We'll always stay on top of the attractions. We have virtual reality in one of our locations that Mike implemented this summer, or not this summer, this past year, which has gone fantastic. It's very exciting. So new forms of entertainment, we'll always follow those. We've looked at axe throwing. We haven't pulled the trigger on it, but we've spec'd it. It's ready to do it. There's other forms that we've been looking at. So whatever we want, or whatever we can give people an opportunity to socialize and step away from their everyday life, that's what it's going to be for our business.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think a really important question here is, who would be better at axe throwing, Robby or Fagan? Who do you guys think would be better between the two of you?
I mean, do you want the axe to spin like this or like that?
Well, I mean, has there been enough testing to see what's more efficient and what yields better results? But yeah, I mean, shoot, axe roll, I guess, is a pivotal part of what makes you a good axe thrower.
Yeah, I don't know. I would probably go with Robby here. My overhand motion from years of bowling is pretty well done. I tried to throw a baseball a few years ago, and it was really embarrassing. So I don't know about underhand axe throwing. You might end up, you hold on a little too long.
Have you guys seen Mike play any other sports?
Is it bad?
I've seen it. I've got axe throwing on lock. I've got axe throwing on lock.
That's great.
To see. I've seen Mike swing the bat at AT&T Park at home plate and run to first base. There's a reason he stuck to a 15-foot approach.
I want to fire in here off the top rope at you, Robby. You're an opportunist, right? You're an opportunist. you also want to grow bowling.
Yep.
We know that during this particular phase of what's happening, not everybody was as financially secure within their bowling centers, and it's probably safe to assume that there's going to be some bowling centers that are going to close. There's going to be some opportunities out there. Are you guys looking at potentially picking up some more bowling centers? And the reason why I ask is you were tagged in a USBC discussion forum on Facebook earlier, I believe last week, and I was sent a couple private messages to ask you the question that they believe that the two of you would be willing to save every bowling center in the United States if you possibly could and get involved. Obviously, you can't scale that quickly, but is there opportunities? Or will you be looking for opportunities? And tell us what you're thinking on that one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I think when you're a bowling proprietor that's been in the business forever, just like we were, my family, you want to sell your bowling center, exit it to someone who's going to take care of your team members and your bowlers and guests that you have known for sometimes 20, 30 years, and to maintain that community. That's critical for our business model and what we focus on. So when people look to move on or retire, we want to be that partner of choice for them to move on to, knowing that we'll do everything in our power to protect their community that they've built in their town. So if there's others that aren't going to get through this, our phone lines are open. We're always willing to have a conversation. I've talked to some proprietors about my thoughts on it, what I would be thinking about going through this. I do think that a lot of proprietors will get through this very well. I don't think it's all doom and gloom for the industry. This is a bit of a hiccup. If you look at sort of the cost structure of bowling centers, if you own your real estate, you can slam that cost structure dramatically. It's largely going to be real estate taxes, utilities. Our utility costs are nil right now because of what we've done inside the centers. Your labor is largely variable if you're a proprietor. So you could get through this with very limited cost for a period of time. So if you own your real estate, you're not in, even if you don't own your real estate, the landlords, there's nobody lining up to take over a 25 to 75,000 square foot building that you need to repurpose from a bowling center. So the landlords are going to face a problem as well, and they should be incentivized to work through this. Our financial partners, lenders, landlords, my co-investors have all been nothing but the best to work through this. They know that the best situation for everybody is this business to continue to operate and get back to dominating the market and doing what's best for bowling. So I think the industry is actually very well poised to come out of this very strong. It is not like other buildings where it is a lot of money to repurpose from a bowling center to another facility. There's a lot of demo that needs to go into it. So you're not going to see landlords lining up and saying, hey, I want the keys. Because when a landlord or a lender often takes the keys, they need someone to sell it to on the other side. And there's not an active liquid market to sell these into. So I think if I was a proprietor in those situations, I would be holding firm and talking and having open communications with your lenders and your financial partners, saying, hey, this is the reality of it. Let's get through this together. It'll be fine on the other end of it. It's a hiccup. So you end up looking at longer durations for some of these holders, but they won't go away. Bowling will always be around, and if you do what's right for bowling, that's what's right for your business, and that's what we do every day. We talk about what's right for bowling. Most every conversation we say, is that good for bowling? It's what we're doing good for bowling. If it's good for bowling, it's good for our business, flat out. So I think those proprietors out there are scared. They don't need to be scared. We're going to get through this just fine as an industry. I don't have any concern actually for the industry going forward.
Pretty strong words. What do you think?
I think the ones, and if you look at when a lot of our centers were built, there was an era, if you build it, they will come. And they weren't built on prime grade A real estate. So if you have prime grade A real estate that's easy to repurpose, your landlord may have a bit more to talk about. But if you're not off the main strip, if you're somewhere behind a building, landlord, they need you just as much as you need them. So there's a conversation to be had.
Yeah, Mike, what do you think?
I would agree. I think we have to be, our business is, like I said, I came into this business a little over a year ago. I'm learning a lot, and I'm learning something every single day that we go to work. I want to get better at what I'm doing, so, would I say right now, like if there were every bowling center in the country came to me and said, "Look, come and pick me up," I'd be overwhelmed, of course. But at the same time, that's where we want to go to eventually. I want to feel more secure in my skill set before I say, yeah, let's take on another 20 or 30 locations. I mean, that's a big chunk to take off. But at the end of the day, I mean, you have to move when the market moves. So, if we have opportunities during this crisis period and people are looking to exit, I think we have to seriously take a look at it. And it's not something that, we have to say yes to every single one, but it's definitely worth the conversation.
Yeah, just on the record, if you guys would like Inside Bowling to be involved with any of your existing business or in the future, please give us a call, 1-800-INSIDE-BOWLING. We have a little bit of time left here. I've two things that I'd like to get to. We do have Casey Mattingly actually said, hey, can we get a college bowling story from you guys? Talking about bowling centers not being open is a bit depressing, but you guys are experts at this, so that's why we want to talk to you about those things. So we will now give this opportunity to, as we're an interactive show, to let you guys maybe share maybe a lighthearted story or something that maybe happened in college bowling. Either one of you want to take that question?
There's a story of a Fagan and a bowling ball and a masking unit. I know that story. If you want to
tell that one again.
Yeah, how ironic it's come full circle. Now you own the bowling center and the masking unit. Now you guys are working.
Yeah,
on them.
now I'd act much differently if I were on the other side of that counter.
Actually, last week he wrote that guy a check. It was just like him. He was thinking about it, contemplating life. He's like, I really owe that guy. So we covered it for him at triple shift, but we had to get off his shoulders.
Yeah, coming out of my bonus. It's all right.
Yep. What happened? You were just like lofting the lane and the ball like double dribbled or something?
No, I would say I was 19 years old and a bit of a hothead.
Oh, that's not the version. The version I heard was that you were at college bowling and it was like you're bowling on the super mega burn and you're like lofting it 40 feet down the lane, 50 feet, and you lofted it and it bounced and then it went into the masking unit.
I believe it was a spare shot.
It was a spare shot, and it was also moderately on purpose. I wouldn't say. All right, so when I was 19, obviously big hothead, and thought I was the S, whatever.
Right.
So we were in a situation. We were at this college bowling tournament, and we were heavily stacked on the left side. So we had 4 lefty All-Americans on our team and me, and the left was totally shut out. I mean, the top left-hander, I think, in the event was like 75th in all events or something ridiculous. So we were totally shut out. This was one of the big Christmas tournaments, tier 1 event, and we pretty much came in thinking like, we're going to clean up, we're going to win this, and they totally shut out the left. And I don't know who was pushing the button. Probably could have been Nick Oglen. I don't know, but but
he's got to take a shot at my Hoosiers. What's up with that? This is ridiculous.
So 6, 7, 10 got a little ticked off at what was going on. I'd been lofting the ball, but I could never actually get it to bounce into the masking unit. We were bowling on some old wood lanes, and I think it just had an extra little get up at the back in the back. And
it's a soft
one hopped into the masking unit. Everything exploded, dust everywhere. The lights came out, and I'm like, wow, I'm getting kicked out of here.
Did you get banned?
I was just shocked. What's that?
Did you get banned?
Oh, no. They gave me the ball to shoot the spare again.
Oh my God, this is ridiculous.
Listen, I mean, when you're the golden child, you can never do anything wrong, I guess. There you go.
Funny.
I remember there was a particular shoe that went flying when you needed a strike. Also, trying to make it to TV for nationals, I think it was as well, right, Mike?
Honestly, who throws a shoe? All right. Yeah, I took my shoe off. All right, I rang 10 and we got knocked out of the tournament. And I mean, I was pretty close to hitting Gordon Vatican with my shoe, but you know,
it is what it is.
It's only close in horseshoes and hand grenades, right?
Right. And we got a question. We got an early comment here from Stu Williams. That's why you bowl for lineage and I bowl for thousands. Classic Robby. Robby, we're grilling Fagan pretty hard here, but I want to hear more about this story.
No stories.
No stories.
That was at the Super Hoinky when I was bowling. Oh my god. There's a lot of stories. Mine are not as public as Fagan's. They're more inside. I was bowling action as I was, and I have a serious problem shutting my mouth. So I was late at night, and it benefited me because these guys they'd hate me so much that they'd be willing to back anybody against me, like anybody. It was amazing, and especially at the Super Hoinky. And I think I was bowling Billy Crane, this left-hander from Indiana. And I just like, yep. And they just kept putting more money behind this guy. And I was like, all right, fine. And I'd strike, and he liked to talk a lot too. And I locked him out of something for probably $5,000. I don't even know, of money on the line. And that's what I said. That's why you bowl for lineage and I bowl for thousands. Yeah, I had a lot of good times traveling with Stu. He's a great friend and a great guy. All my European travels, I roomed with Stu quite a bit around the world. He's great for the sport. Super smart. Oh my God, the Icon story from Milwaukee. This is when the Icon 2 came out. My dad was on staff with Columbia, and he had one of the first balls. It wasn't even released to the public. I had it in the paddock, and someone stole it overnight. And like, if anybody finds an Icon 2 with a pinky finger drilled into it, that's guaranteed mine. 4 people in the world use a pinky finger.
No wonder why you
my
had
dad
35 degrees of tilt.
Yeah, exactly. And I come in the next morning, can't find this ball. I can't find anybody at the counter, and so. This is a college tournament. I just walk behind the counter and I get on the mic and I'm like, if anybody finds an Icon 2, that's mine, because the ball hasn't been released to the public yet. It looks like this. So if you find it, come up and find me. And people are like, F's going on here.
Oh, that's great.
I got a strike and strike. Was Lindenwood bowl? Was it the year that you were bowling, Mike, when it was at the St. Louis match games and the heat went out the night before we came in, and it was frigid in the center. It was like 55 degrees in the center, maybe worse. It was in the middle of the winter, and I bowled in a jacket, and I shot 750. I just lapped the field bowling in this jacket, and people were like, he's not a team player, because he's not wearing his team shirt. And my team's like, to hell with that. He just lapped the field and let it with it.
He can bowl in a parka if he wants.
Exactly. So that was that. Boy, there's others. I had a lot of fun.
We'll take one more. Charlie Tapp says, my uncle painted the Western mural on the walls at Concord Lanes when it was called Wells. Is it still there?
No, not by our doing, Charlie. Sorry.
Yeah,
we didn't do it. But it's not there anymore. I bet you behind a wonderfully carpeted wall and 3 layers of paint, it probably is still there, but not covered up based on our doing. That center was called that center was so it was called Wells Fargo Lanes, oddly. And I didn't believe it. Somebody's like, oh, Wells Fargo Lanes. I was like, no way, BS. And then found out it was called Wells Fargo. And then it was called Blackbeards. And then it was changed to Concord Lanes. Yeah.
I just got text verification from a good buddy of mine, Mike Larson. who bowled for UCF back in the day against you guys, and he texted me and he said, we bowled against Robby that first game in St. Louis when he bowled in a jacket and he popped 250 at us. So that is a real story, everybody.
Guys,
He should have worn his 300 jacket.
yeah.
Oh, see, when I wore my Yaba, my youth bowling T-shirt that had all the was anybody there for that? I had all my patches. My mom would hot glue them onto it, so it's really uncomfortable, and too small. And I bowled the high school college tournament in that shirt. There's pictures of that somewhere. I got
have a big recollection of that. I don't know if you bowled the Peterson in that shirt or something, but
we got a picture. I bowled a Pete with Fagan.
Yeah.
Back-to-back years, I left that building in second. 1597, 1603, back-to-back years in the Peterson.
That's great. Yeah. Guys, we're running out of time here, though. I really appreciate you guys both coming on the program. Mike, how can people, if they're in your area, how can they find out how to get to your centers? And just a little plug for what you have going on there.
Yeah, Mike, can you give out your cell phone?
Tripleshift.com. I mean, that's our website. You can find all of our locations there. You can find links to all of the individual websites of each location. Pins is our marquee location, www.pins.com, PINZ.com. Hit us up on there if you want to book an event, you want to come down, you want to book a tournament. Mermaid is our other marquee location in Mounds View, just about 15 minutes north of US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. And we've got a 70-room hotel attached to it, the American. We were actually planning to have the Storm Youth Championship in April. Unfortunately, we had to postpone that. But we want to have more bowling events, man. We want to have as many competitive bowling tournaments come through our doors as possible. And, obviously we're going to talk memories, and we're going to hopefully make some new memories when we have everybody back. And, hopefully we can bring some more national and more, big competitive regional events to the Twin Cities.
Cool. Robby, anything else you'd like to add before we get out of here?
Thanks for having us. And thanks for everything you're doing for bowling. It's really important what we're doing out there. I think as an industry, we're poised to get through this better than most every other industry. I'm excited about the future of bowling. Obviously, I've invested a lot in it, both financially and passion and energy. Mike has, who's got tons of opportunity, but you guys don't know how well heeled he is and how in demand he is. We've built a superstar team at Triple Shift and are looking to do whatever we can to do what's best for bowling, and partnering with folks in the industry. InsideBowling, Storm has been a great partner to our company, and we look to find other ways to partner with them just to grow this and get bowling into more people's hands and better experiences throughout. So thanks for everything you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, it's been a blast today. Thanks for coming on, sharing some stories and talking about what we're dealing with right now. Can't wait to get everybody back out bowling again. And again, from Matt and I, really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for having us.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, Matt. So that's that for today's show, man. Pretty strong words there. A lot of opportunity. And I know that there's people that are sitting out there that own bowling centers right now that things aren't great, right? And how can these guys be so positive through this? But it does show that there is opportunity. It does show that when things do recover, and if you do survive out there, whether if it's you own a bowling center or a barbershop or whatever your business is, and even your household business, if you view your own household as a business, you should save a little more. You should set yourself up and be aware of what can happen. Easier said than done, but we talk about side hustles, Matt. You and I are both Gary V guys, pick up a second job, drive some Uber, deliver some groceries, whatever you got to do to get yourself set up. I wish I could have told myself that when I was 18. So, and I know you're trying to do that as well right now, Matt. You're living at home, just doing what you can, not living outside of your means, and being ready to come out of this thing as best as you can.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think it's got to have some humility. You've got to have, you've got to have dreams and aspirations, and you also have to make sure that everything's in alignment with one another. so you can live the life that you want to live. And, I'm lucky to say that I have you as a mentor, Mike, and someone that's kind of showed me the ropes of how to hustle, how to work hard, how to execute. And look forward to doing more things like this show with you, buddy, and meeting more great people and hanging out with more great people like Mike and Robby as well.
We have some smart guys on today. So,
man, do I feel dumb?
Yeah. Yesterday, you guys told me with Brad and Kyle that I was the worst bowler on the show. And today I feel like I was the dumbest guy on the show. So,
well, hey, man, I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. I don't know what kind of comeback I have for that, Mike, but there was a very smart group of individuals. So to be the dumbest one of them all is still being pretty smart.
Scottie Pippen was pretty smart if you watched yesterday's show.
He sure was. He sure was.
Tomorrow we'll be back an hour earlier with Mike Shady, Coach Shady. We're going to teach people how to bowl tomorrow and talk about our relationship. Thanks for watching today, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. It'll be Friday. We'll wrap up the week tomorrow. Thanks for watching.